Welcome to the funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 255 of the funnel. The new sales manager's number one priority. Before we begin, I want to advise you strongly. Head on over to alignment-group.com and / the funnel. Subscribe to the funnel, and you will receive a free coaching call. So all new subscribers get the free coaching call. And then we send you an update weekly of everything we've published. It's just a weekly thing. No more, no less of our blog posts and podcasts that we've published the week before. Okay, today's agenda: recruiting, the disruption, expect the unexpected, and change is necessary. So I want to sort of give us a precursor to this podcast and tell you why I came up with this this topic. I've taken on a few new clients recently. In addition to that, I've talked to several prospects. And a lot of times when I'm going through my process with them, there is some change happening, right? The reason that I'm there is there's some change. And in a couple of cases, it's been, new management in place. So owners bring me in most cases, to help transition into this sort of new era, to grow the business, help build their recruiting and onboarding and sales training and all of that good stuff that I do. And we've had a lot of discussion around new sales managers. And when I mean new, what I mean by that is new to the company, and in some cases new to being a sales manager. But I'm not talking about this is your first gig as a sales manager. It could be that, but it also could be you've just been hired into this company as the sales manager or even a VP of sales, and you're sort of getting the lay of the land. 9 times out of 10, you're being pulled into this situation. There is a reason for it, and it's not just that somebody left. Most of the times, it's because something's not right. And even if somebody did leave, they just said, hey, I got a better opportunity and I left. That there's still some things that probably need to change and need to be fixed, and you want to put your stamp on the team and the company, and you want to grow the number, right? So when I mean by new sales managers, I mean new to the company. So let's jump into recruiting. So you have this new sort of job, whether it's a promotion or you're new to sales management or you're new to the company as a sales manager. And you land the first day, and obviously what you want to do is meet everybody, right? So that's sort of the process that most go through. I have a very good friend of mine that they just brought in a new manager to his company. He's the number one rep in the branch. They're number one in the region and in the top 2% in the country for his company. And the new manager, asked for a day in the field with him and spent a lot of time just kind of talking to him and riding with him and going on appointments. And he did that with everybody on the team. So it's normal to see that. And when you get into that situation, first, are your territories full, right? That's the first question you want to ask. I do. If I'm taking on a new role as a sales manager, and let's say there's 5 territories and I have 3 of them open, that's a problem, right? That's an obvious problem. And I'm going to address that. But where it gets a little wonky is your territories are full. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But let's just, for the sake of this argument, say that they are full. And you're thinking everything's fine. You meet with the reps. You have great conversations. You have a good day. There's some weak spots on the team. There's some strong spots. But you're not interested in disrupting that side of the team when you have all these other things that you're trying to do. And it could be coaching. It could be meeting schedules. It could be process, CRM, whatever it is. Maybe the number, you need to drive the number up. An oatmeal's better than no meal. I got a middle-level performer, and I don't want to disrupt that right now because I can't afford to lose somebody while I'm trying to get my feet wet in this company. So I'm laying out a scenario that I think happens a lot. Okay? You know your team needs work. You know that there's things that have to get done. But what you're trying to do is figure out where you are. So recruiting's the last thing on your mind. I'm going to tell you that should be the first thing on your mind. That should be your number one priority. You don't have to announce it to the team. You don't have to walk in and say, there's the conference room down there. I'm going to start interviewing your replacements unless you get your act together. That's silliness, right? But you want to think about recruiting as your number one priority because above all else, if you have empty territories, you're not going to be successful. It takes at least 90 days to fill an empty territory. I don't care what anybody says. Okay. I know when I help people in the hiring and onboarding, and we can fill territories at a rapid pace. I'm not saying in a week, but it's not going to take 90 days. But that's because we've developed a program and we've worked the program. I have to make the assumption that when you're stepping into that new job, there's no real recruiting program. And most of that recruiting is done with the manager. So the manager's gone. Even if they had somebody that they were talking to, it's hard to kind of reset the clock with somebody and a new manager. So just assume that it's going to take you 90 days to fill a territory. And then you have the onboarding. So in my world, recruiting is the number one need here. Because all of our teams need work, right? We know that. And we could have one empty territory if we're stepping in. But I'm just going to assume here we don't. And you might say, John, there's 1,000 things I could be doing. Yes. But recruiting needs to be at the top of that list because you will lose somebody. Okay? It's very simple. There is a disruption when you take that position, whether you're promoted or hired from the outside, or this is your first job as a manager. Whatever the case, there's disruption. And never underestimate what that disruption does to the team and the individual team members, no matter how hard you try. Okay? This new fella's riding with my buddy in the field. Do you think he's just laying everything out there? He doesn't know this guy. He's playing it straight and narrow. Now, it's easier for him. He's a good rep, right? Somebody this guy can depend on. He's not in any way, shape, or form in some kind of difficult situation. But imagine a mid-level player who's succeeding, maybe 95% of quota, or 100, just slightly over 100, or maybe 80%. What's going on in their mind with this new manager? Are you replacing a bad manager? I don't know. But you could be. If you're replacing a bad manager, the damage could already be done, right? Somebody could have 1 foot out the door. Going to hit the road. Tired of that mean old boss. Right? Maybe the previous manager was fired, or maybe they were retired. Okay, and everybody loved them. So now you're replacing a legend. Do you understand? It represents disruption. And then with that disruption, you're going to bring change because you're going to bring your way of doing business. You might change how you're going to coach differently. Your meetings might be different. You might be implementing some new tools or new processes. You might be there for a specific the number needs to grow, and with number comes change, comes disruption. It's inevitable. So you're coming in, fresh new start, excited about this job, meeting with everybody, shaking hands and kissing babies. But don't underestimate how they're feeling or what's going through their head. And they're not going to be open with you because they don't know you and they don't trust you. So be prepared because the unexpected is coming. Expecting the unexpected is what you should do. So get your recruiting ducks in a row. Why? Because some people can't help themselves. Some people just can't help themselves. They have already decided they were going before that manager left. Or maybe they're thinking you're going to change their whole world just by a couple of announcements or statements that you've made, and they've decided to move on. You'd be surprised how people take the things you say to them. Even the most minor thing in passing about a change to the team or a change in territory or a change in meeting schedules throws people off. People don't like change. Poor performers, I can tell you right now, they feel exposed. Don't Don't be fooled by, the happiness and, oh, I'm glad you're here. I really could use the help in getting better. I'm working hard, but the last manager didn't help me. Well, that's for you to find out. But ultimately, they know. They know they're exposed. They know what's coming if they don't get their act together. And many of them will do the job for you. And you say, well, they're a poor performer. I can move on. Right. That's fine. But what do you have to replace them? Now, your boss is looking at you and saying, I've got an open territory here. I need to make sure the business is still running there. The customers are still happy. While at the same time, doing everything else you need to do. And oh, by the way, find a replacement. You see, that's your problem. That's why it's important to expect the unexpected. Start your job off recruiting and finding. Sorry about that. I think there was a couple beeps there. And finding the right people to fill the positions. You're saying, well, there's no positions empty. There will be. I can say with great certainty you're going to lose somebody. Even if you've been a manager there for a year or two. You still lose people. We all do. So you should have a recruiting program in place. So expect the unexpected. Change is necessary. It's necessary to be successful, right? Good companies change. People who evolve and grow in their positions, they change. They accept it. They embrace it. So you might say, well, what if I just kind of kept things the status quo and slowly made change? Well, that's not going to help you. It's already happening. You're there. That's the change. So you need to be very clear in your objectives, very clear in your outcomes, give no quarter to anyone, right? So it's going to force you in some cases to make a decision. So that's why you need to be recruiting. Okay, if you think about it, there's no way around this. You're coming in as a new manager. That's change. That represents change. Change does funny things to people. Even the most stable people seem to be affected by it. And people who are smiling all the way to their desk and smiling all day in the field with you could be thinking, I need to get out of here. Because they may not give you the opportunity. They may not give the company the chance. Again, like I said before, they may have already decided that. So you have a job to do, and you're going to come in and you're going to do it. Whether that's fixing some things that are broken. I remember I took over a team way back when. It was October. And the team was like 40% of quota for the year. So the year was pretty much a wash. But I took those last few months of the year and I made some pretty heavy change. Now, it was early in my, very, very, very early in my career. And this is where I learned this. I lost 2 people right off the bat. They weren't going to stick around for the bloodbath. Why? They were so underperforming, it wasn't even funny. There was no really fixing that, and they knew it. Now, they hung on for a couple of months. It's October, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year, whatever holiday you celebrate, but it's that time of year when people are sort of winding down. They waited, and I didn't do anything. I didn't build a recruiting program. I didn't look at hiring anybody, and it put me behind. Now, the good news is I was able to recover and had a whole year to do it, but you may not be that lucky. Your boss may not be understanding. So you need to come in and make those changes because it's already there. You need to provide no quarter. In other words, whatever you're putting in place, you need to put in place. And don't soften it because you're afraid you might lose somebody. It sends a clear message. We're running a real team here. And we're going to support that effort. And make sure you back it up with really strong recruiting. Why? Because if you take a job and 30 days later, one of your reps comes in and walks out the door, you shake their hand, you wish them luck, and you say, I really appreciate all you've done. I've known you that long, but what I've seen, I've liked. Good luck in your career. Say goodbye to them. And then a week or so later, the new person's coming in because you've put a recruiting program together. Instead of turning around to your team and saying, okay, I need everybody to pitch in to help me because I don't have somebody here. No, it could happen your first week on the job. Talked to somebody recently that's happened. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. Okay? But it sends a message if you start off recruiting. Hey, they're gone. We're going to get some coverage here. We're still moving forward. And I'm going to put a ton of effort in recruiting and finding the right person for the position. In addition to that, these are the other things we're going to do. And the message is clear. We're building a strong, winning sales team. We're not going to accept mediocre behavior. And if someone wants to move on, we're not going to cry over spilt milk. We're going to find a replacement. We're going to put them in position, and we're going to help them succeed. And in the end, you, as a sales manager, will succeed. It sounds a little preachy, I know. But, I've had so many conversations recently about this. I thought it was important to get it out there. There's a lot of things you need to do when you take over a sales team. But I highly, highly recommend you get with HR and you start lining up recruiting, because you will lose somebody. And you don't want to put yourself or the company in a bad position where you're playing catch up on the numbers. Thank you for subscribing to The Funnel, alignment-group.com/The Funnel. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, @ShayJohnR, and of course I'm on LinkedIn. Send me an email, jshay@alignment-group.com. I promise you, I will get back to you. I answer all my emails. If you really want some help, subscribe and get the coaching call, because I'm better talking than I am writing. So I'm just putting that out there. Head on over to the website. We have some pretty cool stuff you can download. Again, thank you for subscribing to The Funnel. And as always, keep filling the funnel.